Hi, everyone. This is Aaron, and you are listening to the Sound Words Podcast, the official podcast of musicmoon.com. Today's guest is Endora Pan, a worship leader at FCBC Walnut. In this episode, we talk about Endora leading worship at our recent young adult retreat, a weekend trip with her small group, and taking a break from serving in TURF, our college fellowship. Thanks for listening. Endora, we just came back from the young adult in transit retreat at Murrieta Hot Springs. How was your experience?
I really enjoyed it. I went, and I haven't actually gone to IT, I'll be honest. I haven't gone to IT in quite a while before the retreat. I did go after the retreat to support someone sharing their testimony for membership. But I just thought retreat was good. That's kind of how I got plugged into FCBC to begin with. But I really wanted to meet new people at this retreat, which I definitely did, because there's just a ton of newcomers and the younger generation of IT goers that I haven't met. But also, I feel like I got to spend a lot of time with like you guys, like with you and Jess and Hanley and Meryl.
I mean, there was a lot of free time.
Yes. So I think it was a really nice and chill retreat. Yeah. So I enjoyed that.
Who did you drive there with, and who did you room with?
Oh, I drove with Mark and Ricky, so we were there calling them out on the podcast.
Nice.
But yeah, we drove down together, and then I was with Jen Lowe, with Nora, and then with Emily Takei.
Oh, okay, nice.
His girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was nice. There was actually only 4 people total in our room.
Yeah, it's a small room.
Yeah, I think someone else was assigned, but they wanted to be in a different room, which is all good. It was really nice. Honestly, we felt a little bit more spoiled because in our cabin, we had 2 restrooms. So basically only 2 girls shared 1 bathroom.
All right. That's a good ratio.
Yeah. So we're very spoiled.
I do want to talk to you about worship there, I guess music ministry there. But before we do this is kind of fitting because like you and I met at retreat and we did music. Or it wasn't, we weren't doing music. I guess I was doing music and that's how we met because Jess said, hey, you should listen to her sing or whatever. But we know that story. But I guess it's fitting because now it's like, it's been a while now. And here you are.
Was that like 5 or 6 years ago?
It has to be at least 6 years ago because this was like either before me and Jess got married or right after we got married.
Oh, I think it was right after. I think you guys just got married.
Yeah, it seems like fitting because like now instead of you being in the congregation, you're like serving on team, and it's not me leading. it's other people.
You
leading.
Passed the baton.
I did. Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess so. In a way. But yeah, tell me about your experience leading music.
So my experience, I think I didn't really know what to expect. The only thing I really knew going into it was when I was scheduled to sing. And I knew I was only singing, because I didn't play anything. But I think what I learned from it was one, I guess, to be flexible. I mean, as a worship leader, you're always flexible because, just practice. I don't know about practice or just things may go wrong. But I think really for this retreat, because we weren't able to practice beforehand and for the sessions, and for me personally, it was my first time leading with those people without you there, like as the leader. I mean, I've served with all of them, but not when they were leading by themselves. Right. So I think it was actually, I guess it was humbling. I didn't realize until after, but I was like, oh yeah, I was like the oldest person on that team.
It is a weird feeling when you're the oldest on the team, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it really mattered, but I think because I've never played with them, like practice or play with them under their leadership before, I had to be flexible to get used to it very quickly. Does that make sense? Because really, we only had about maybe half an hour at most to practice. And so there's chemistry together as just teammate members, however you call it.
Yeah.
But it's a different chemistry to build upon when you're like the team member and they're the leader. Does that make sense?
Yes, I
Yeah, and
totally
getting
hear what
used
you're
to their
saying.
styles and their ways of leadership. You learn a lot about that persons because it was more than one. So I would say overall it was a good learning experience for me. There were times where I know that I struggled because I felt like I wasn't prepared, wrestled with just even my own heart attitude doing it. But it was a learning experience, I think, for all of us. I definitely have like feedback, which I think we talk, like just feedback in terms of like learning also what does it mean to be a good worship leader,
Mm,
right? I think it's
mm,
always good
mhm.
because it's one thing to be under someone's leadership, but also another to think about, well, if I was the worship leader, or I technically am, even though I'm not the one creating the set, right? It's, yeah, if your heart really matters. And how is your own personal walk with God? Because before you can lead the congregation to sing or play or worship God through music, you have to make sure you're okay.
Yeah. Okay, you said a couple things there that I want to kind of elaborate on. The first is that like, yeah, I know that like our Sunday team, I think we did build up a chemistry, and I think we're continuing to build it up because you guys know like how I operate, and we
Right.
kind of have like a certain way we play the songs. And I think that like, okay, if Aaron's singing, then that means I'm gonna harmonize in this way, or if like this
Right.
person's singing, then I need to harmonize. Or if it's my turn to take the lead, then I really gotta step it up. So I think
Right.
you do kind of know your role in the Sunday team atmosphere that we built up. And we're still building
Mm-hmm.
that up, right? Trying to add strings and trying to take on new vocalists. But like, yeah, we've been doing this for a while, Endora. We really have. And so like I am thankful for that. But then the other thing too is that yeah, being part of the team means that you're not just a vocalist, you're a worship leader too. Like I don't think the pressure is all on like me, like the guy with the guitar and singing the main part to be the main leader. I think we're all
Yeah, yeah.
on stage, right? Like everybody's looking at everybody. And so I think it's also fair, therefore, because I see you guys as like not just like, oh, some random person that's singing, but like another leader to provide feedback and to like critique, and also to say like what you see in the congregation that's working or not, what's not working. And so
Yeah.
I hope that like that on our Sunday team that I kind of facilitate sort of that type of atmosphere. And
Yeah.
also just me personally, like I don't want to be perceived as like the guy where it's like, oh, I can't tell Aaron anything. At least if you tell me
Right.
something, maybe I'll give you like an answer about what I think, but I want you to know at least that I'm open to hearing you.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that you record, especially when we play on Sundays, you record our mixtapes.
Yeah, got to.
Yeah.
That's how we get better. Oh, that reminds me. I got to send you guys. Did I send you guys the tapes from
No,
retreat?
I don't really want to hear it.
Oh, I
Just
gotta send it. I
kidding.
still have it. I gotta send it to you. I gotta send it to you guys. Yeah, I will. I will. After this, I will send it to you. Or maybe when we release this podcast, it will be fitting then, actually. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I have it. I have it.
I will say it was a joy to sing songs that were new to me and not part of the usual maybe Sunday playlist.
That's a fair. That's a fair thing.
But it was, yeah, I think it was like definitely humbling because I mean it's been a while since I even led worship in IT. So the vibe is different and the audience is different. I forgot about that. So maybe from my heart, like I wasn't as prepared.
What do you mean, like versus a Sunday? You mean?
Yeah, like a Sunday, I feel like, yeah, you're right. We have a groove going on. You kind of know what to expect. But just coming into a situation, especially with retreat, it was kind of like an adventure. We just went into it hoping we get time to practice. And if it didn't happen, if we just ran out of time, then the Spirit led us, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I thought you guys did great. I thought it was good. I thought it was good. I was able to sing along, and like I think worship in my heart. I really I appreciated it. I think all you guys had a small team. It was like what you, and so yeah, that's a small team by our Sunday standards. But I think that you guys all played your roles, and I think you guys all like shined and contributed to it. So I thought I was blessed by it.
And thank you.
Yeah,
And that's really the purpose of it all, right? Is that we have to help the congregation be able to sing.
absolutely.
So if you felt like you could sing then and wasn't distracting, and then that was good.
Very true, Endora, very true. I do always appreciate your high standards. So, wait a minute. Okay, we kind of talked about this a little bit. Do you think that your standards were always so high even before? Or do you think that like they lowered or raised ever since you and I started playing music together?
I think you helped me raise my standard.
I don't know if that's helping you or like hindering you.
I will say, I think I already personally, because I'm a prideful person, have high standards.
Same.
I do seek perfection.
Mm.
That's a struggle for me. I like things to be perfect the way I envision it. That's why I think if there are errors or mistakes, that's always the most humbling thing for me, and I dwell on it the most. But I think seeing you and be able to work with you, and I really appreciate your style in that when we come to practice, you pretty much already have everything set up already, and you already in your head, like you give us musical freedom to do that, to add a harmony there or to maybe make it our own style, but at the same time you're really clear on what you envision it to sound like, if that makes sense. So,
yeah. I have like a roadmap how I want it to be, and like I kind of know the players and like what you're really bad at, what somebody else is good at. Yeah.
You listen to every single player.
I do. I do. Everybody's crucial. Everybody has a role.
And I mean, even though I was in choir before, I'm not quite sure if I really listened to other people as much as I did on our Sunday team now. I feel like you kind of trained me that way.
Well, that's something that I had to build up too, because like I think when you just first start leading, you're only concerned about yourself, right? And how you sound. But I think if you're like the main leader or whatever, right? The arranger or whatever, and you're presenting like the team to the congregation and to God, then you need to be aware of what everybody else is doing, because it's not just you. Like the whole sound is everybody included, Right. But yeah, I'm glad that I guess I helped you or hindered you, I guess, from raising your standards.
I mean, the standard thing I do think it's important, especially because we're on stage. Of course, everybody has their own internal struggle, whatever, beyond there, whatever. But we do want to play well so we don't distract from, because it's, especially when you're on there, like you sing off tune or your instrument is off tune or something, break, like people notice it and they'll stop singing. Right, that's not the point.
Right.
But so it's like a fine balance. I don't know how else to say it.
No, I hear you, and I think that we will continue to walk that line. But I'm glad we're doing it together, at least, Endora. It's always fun to serve and play with you, and to see you play with other teams, so that it's always a blessing.
I do have a question, actually, now that we're talking about it. Remember we used to practice on Saturdays?
Yeah.
For time?
Yeah.
But then we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, we don't.
Why did you take it away? Okay. Just scheduling?
I think scheduling was one thing. I think also we currently practice upstairs in the children's worship room, right? And we didn't always used to be up there. I think we used to be in like the PC or the bungalow or something like that. And so somewhere along the line wherever that transition took place, I just said, I think that this is over my limit of what I can personally handle in terms of like getting a team ready to play on Sunday. I think that the change was too harsh for me. And I think even going into the children's worship room, I think that was a hard change for me too. And I tried to adjust by making our team more acoustic, and meaning like, I don't really play with my electric guitar anymore. We don't really have a drum set anymore. We have a cajon, and we don't normally use a keyboard. Normally we just use the regular piano. And so that way, like when we're just singing and practicing in the circle, like we're not really using microphones. So it's just kind of like, it's a really easy, like show up, just get as much like minutes as you can to practice. And yeah, you're right. I try to have like the chord sheets and the arrangements prepared beforehand. But in terms of like opening a room and getting gear and just like, working a soundboard and, making sure there's monitors, I think that's just too much for me to handle as like the the main leader and like the arranger and everything. Like honestly, like
Mm,
a team of our size, when we're practicing, if we were plugged in, we need like a sound person there, like a dedicated sound person.
mm.
And I think that's just over my limits, unfortunately. You got to know your
Yeah.
weaknesses, right? Or
No,
you
I
got
think
to know
that's
what you can
good.
handle. You got to know what you can handle, I suppose. Yeah.
Honestly, with the amount of time that we get to practice on Sundays, we're pretty good. But I guess we do pick.
Pride rising. Yeah, like when we go for it, like there's no time to waste. Like we
Pretty
just
efficient.
yeah, we
I
gotta
have to
barrel
say
through the
that. We're
songs.
very efficient.
But you know what? I honestly like I think it's a blessing because I don't know if we would have ever added this whole strings team and been able to even hear all the different harmonies that we're trying to do. Because now without like being burdened by AV equipment or just like without like having a good monitor mix and like not being able to hear anything, like we can really just practice in a circle. And I think that really contributes to me being able to hear everybody. And I'm sure it helps you
Mhm,
guys too,
mhm.
because you guys can hear each other's harmonies. Like you're really close. And so that way, by the time you get
Yeah.
on stage, it's like, okay, now I got to stand here by myself. But at least you're kind of confident in like, at least we practiced
Yeah.
it. I don't know how you feel, but I honestly, sometimes I like our circle practice, like our second go through, like when I'm recording it. I like that better sometimes than the actual like Sunday service time, which is
I
kind of
have to
messed up.
agree.
It's kind of messed up because
I
like the
agree, and I wonder
congregation's
if
not
it's
with us.
because sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
I
no,
feel
it's
like
fine.
it's because we can hear each other better. When we're on stage, and maybe it's the proximity between all of us, especially when you're in a circle, you're much closer. But because we can hear, that actually boosts our confidence more.
Right. Yeah, it does.
And when
It
we're
does.
more spread out on the stage.
Yeah. Yeah,
But then
totally.
we do have to trust each other more when we're on stage
Yeah, no,
to be able to
absolutely.
deliver.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a team building thing, like obviously like okay, we practice it guys, now we just got to execute it. I guess a dream of mine, I guess, is to actually have like an unplugged like service or like, an unplugged like worship session with the congregation in some form. I think it'd be cool for people to hear us in our natural unplugged state, because like
Mm.
when you're standing there next to our string section, like I think it's like kind of powerful. I don't know how you feel, but like I'm always like,
Mm.
oh shit, this is nice.
It's very nice. I do have to say, I think with the transition to practicing the children's room, and I think you changed your style. I didn't know that, so now I know
Oh
that
yeah,
that's why
yeah,
you're starting to do a more acoustic style. Because before, yeah, you were definitely the heavy electric guitar.
yeah,
And this
yeah.
kind of
It'll
we were
come
at a
back someday. It will
concert.
come back someday, just not yet.
But I like the acoustic, I have to say. And I appreciate that you're willing to step out of your comfort zone. I don't know if it was, but
It
step out of
is.
your comfort zone
Yeah, it is.
to
It
try
definitely
a
is.
different style to accommodate the building, being built and then the transition
Mm.
with our practice space.
Well, thanks, and I appreciate all you guys too for being willing to just try new things and also adjust on the fly. I guess we should. Okay, I don't want to dwell too much on this. We got an agenda here to talk about. Um, Before we went to the in transit retreat, you kind of went on another retreat the weekend before. It's a small group
I
retreat.
did.
Okay, tell me about
Yes.
that because that's super interesting. It's all women, right? Okay.
Yes. So we went to Big Bear, and this was something planned several months in the making because, especially because my small group has grown and transitioned, newcomers, people leaving because of different life stages. So we've added some new members, and actually we've added within the past year we've added now five. And I'm I guess the original now, which is so funny because yeah, in the beginning I was the new one and I was the youngest.
Another
Now I'm the
situation where
oldest.
the oldest in the group.
Yes, yes, but hey, that's life, right? I should
It is like
really
you're right.
I should be fine with it
Yeah, you should
now.
embrace it. Yeah.
I should embrace it. That's right. So I just thought like, hey, especially now we have a total of 8 girls. And it's hard to really get to know one another. Like for a couple hours, even within like if let's say we meet for 3 hours every 2 weeks, it's just tough to get everybody to, I mean, just sharing prayer requests alone can take up an hour and a half or something. So I thought a retreat would be really nice because we've always wanted to go on trips together. And I've with I guess the original other two, so Paula and Joyce and myself, the three of us, we've gone on trips and gotten to know each other on trips because we ran trips together, and just road tripped, but not in a small group setting. Because still, I just thought it was good. So we went to Big Bear, and actually, it was so awesome because an older women's small group from our church. We didn't know this, but they booked to go to Big Bear that same weekend for
So
their
random.
small group.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's amazing because that older women's small group, they technically adopted my small group. And we do serve lunch together, and we have like Christmas gatherings every year. And I think we were just so excited when we found out that both groups booked that weekend together without having discussed it. So I think definitely a highlight for everybody during the trip. Yeah, we hiked together, we cooked together, but it was actually when we met in like the Big Bear Village and met up with the older women's small group. And we just met up for lunch, and we got to sit. Basically, the way that we sat was kind of like an older woman, younger woman, older woman, because they had more people.
Yeah.
But it was just really nice because I think afterwards we're like, hey, we really want to be them in like 20 years.
Wow. That's
like
cool.
they're a fun group.
Yeah.
And they were really generous. Like they treated us to ice cream as a group. So nice. We just had a blast hanging out with them. And then within our own group, I would say that I think I know everybody a little bit better now. It's going to be a work in progress because definitely some people with personalities are more introverted than others and more open than others. And that's
becoming more introverted.
Yes, becoming more introverted. That's me. I will tell you this because I was cooking throughout the trip. I think I got really tired more easily. So I needed to sleep earlier. And I definitely was not as outgoing as probably a few years ago. I was the one trying to seek alone time during my trip. But anyway, enough about me. But just, I think the trip was good. Our small group trip was good because we wanted to get to know one another better intentionally. And I think going on a trip, especially when we are all single, not married, and able to do that, it's precious. So why not?
I take back my comment. That's not random. It's God ordained, I guess, that happened. And I think it's
absolutely. God's sovereignty.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that that this whole intergenerational thing is like playing out in your small groups. And also, that you're finding yourself to be like the older one in the small group. And I guess, I'm sure you were the leader before, but just kind of really being able to like provide oversight or provide even like more wisdom than like I guess you had before. I think it's cool. It's super encouraging, especially because a lot of people like you see people come and go from small groups, right? And so when you say that like you've been there, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because you're living life and you're spending time investing in other people and being like part of that church life. I think that if I were you though, I would also become more introverted just because spending a lot of time with a lot of girls just seems like, it's too much. Is it too much?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, is it too much? Like, what do you, I mean, are you guys like chill or what? Like, what kind of stuff happens? Like, is it just like talking all the time? Like, what is it?
There was a lot of talking all the time because then we would ask like questions, like maybe like silly ones like, hey, what do you like about yourself personality wise? What don't you like?
That's not silly. That's super deep.
Okay, but a deep silly one.
Okay.
I don't know, what's something that you find attractive in someone else?
Okay, that's fair.
So I mean, those are fun, but there was definitely someone talking throughout the whole time. And I think for me, just energy wise, I guess I am getting older, and because I was in charge of cooking, I woke up earlier. So I felt like I expended more energy. I needed time.
Is the cooking thing something that you volunteered for, or did you like get elected to do that?
It was both. I always find myself, if it's not me, it's probably like someone like Gabe, if we're like on the same road trip.
Yeah. Gabe is kind of the go-to food guy and coffee guy, I guess.
Yes.
Do you think that
so overall it's a great trip, I would say?
Okay, if you had to choose only one, would you do a co-gender retreat, or would you do a one gender retreat? If you only had to choose one for one summer.
I would actually want a mixed gender.
Nice. Why? Because Mark gets to go?
No. Actually, the ones that I found like the most fun were Mark didn't go.
What?
The half
Sorry, man.
marathon
Sorry,
one.
Mark.
I think no, he won't care. But the one I think my most memorable one that I can remember is probably the Yosemite half that we did. And it was like
Oh,
13 of us.
yeah. So
And it
you
was a
like those
mixture.
type of trips? Wait, but did you like that because you guys did the marathon, or wait, was that
No,
the
no,
marathon
it's
trip
the
or was that a?
bonding that really, it's the bonding.
Okay, all right.
The
It
half
wasn't
was
the
okay. I mean,
exercise.
yeah, for some people it's the highlight, but for me, I kind of stopped caring about
Mm,
running.
mm, mm.
Um,
Are you
I'm
gonna?
retired now.
You're done? That's it for you?
I'm done. I'm done.
Are you sure?
No more. My knees hurt.
Man, you are getting
Well, I'm just
older.
lazy. I'm
Now
lazy.
we're getting
You know,
older.
I'd rather spend money on other things right now.
Okay, let's talk about how you're too old to do turf now. Let's talk about that. I guess that's our theme about during this podcast. How you're just too old to do anything now.
First of all, you really shouldn't say that I'm too old because I was the youngest person serving in
All right,
turf.
you're okay. Fine. I take it back. I take it back.
I'm going to clarify that. But no, it wasn't because I was too old. Part of it was I wanted a break just from serving Friday nights to refresh, I think, my own soul. But the second was just the commute from Irvine to Walnut. It's fine, but I think I honestly by 9 p.m. I was kind of dying.
Yeah.
I
No, that
wasn't um
yeah, that's hard.
I
It's a
wasn't being
hard commute.
myself. I was kind of like falling asleep.
Oh, yeah,
Um
that's not safe, Endora. Yeah, that's
so
definitely
I
something
felt
that.
like it wasn't fair to the students and that I couldn't really I was just so tired during discussion group and they knew I was tired and I felt bad. But the discussions would wake me up, but then by the end of the night I was dead tired. So I didn't think that was good. Um, at first I didn't know if it was just because work was just so busy, was it even valid that I stepped down for these reasons? But then I did talk to like PT and Gabe and just said, hey, this is kind of where I'm at. I feel like I do need to spend more time just like refreshing my own soul, and maybe taking a break from Friday nights because I'm physically exhausted. Um, but I also feel like I wasn't able to fully invest in the students because I was so tired
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
drained from work.
Yeah.
So
How are you doing like without having those students in your life like on a week to week basis? Like I'm sure you miss them, right?
yeah, I mean, they just started 0 week last week, and a part of me was like, oh man, it's kind of weird to not be there on a Friday night. And I think I will miss them, but at the same time, I'm hoping I will still meet up with the certain few that I've kind of invested in. Um, and I'm always open to meetups. I just don't think like Friday nights for now, at least with my current situation with a new job and just the commute back on a Friday night. I'm not able to invest. And I do think it's kind of nice to step away also from serving. I just kind of also ask God, where do you want me to be? Um, is it to continue in turf? Because I continued in turf to follow my girls from high school, from Unicoi.
Right. And you spent what was it, a year with them or 2 years?
In turf it was 1 year.
Okay.
And in Unicoi it was 3 years.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds like you made the right decision. I mean, obviously, like you prayed about it and got some guidance, but yeah, I mean, it's safety and your energy, and it sounds like being able to focus and even do meetups outside of turf is definitely open to you, and it's something you actually want to do, and so I think that's also a good way to continue being in their lives.
Yeah, for sure. I think I will definitely miss serving with the turf counselors. Like it was fun. It was like serving with your friends. It was well because we are friends. We are all friends. It's like Tiff and Ray, and then Robin, and then Gabe and PT. Like I think we had fun. It
Yeah,
was fun.
it's a good team. I think that it is like about the students, but equally so, like who you serve with does make an impact in how much you enjoy being there, and how much you enjoy working together, as a group. Okay, one more question for you, Endora, and then I'll let you go. I'll do some cross podcast promotion here on SVRGN. Jess said that she doesn't like it when I count off 1, 2, 3, 4 to intro the songs. And so I'm going to try not doing that. I just want to know how you feel about this.
I think it'll take some time getting used to if you don't do it, because I'm used to you doing it. But then again, I think we'll get used to it, you not doing it. But I will have to say, after I listened to the podcast, I think I told you guys this.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
When she was talking about she didn't want you to count off, I was like, yeah, but I like that you count off. I feel like it's like an Aaron thing because no one else does it. No one else counts off. Then are we becoming normal?
It's my trademark move. Well, thanks, Endora.
I mean, I'm not in the congregation, so I don't know if it is distracting, as Jess says.
Good point. And it's fair for Jess to say it. I'll try to adapt. And Endora, I'm thankful that you sing with me and that you're also willing to try new crazy things like not counting in when we make music. Thanks for doing the podcast, Endora.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Endora, for being my guest on the show. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please send me your feedback or questions for follow-up. You can even send me any questions specifically for Endora to follow up on, and I'll be sure to get to them in the next few episodes. In the show notes, you'll find links to the Sound Words podcast archive. And don't forget to subscribe to Sound Words on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player. Just search for Sound Words. My website is musicgoon.com. The email address for this podcast is soundwords@musicgoon.com. And you can always tweet me @musicgoon. Thanks. See you soon.